Hi, everyone. Welcome to Take Issue on the Global Engagement Network. I'm your host, Iniko Nolan, and today we have a special guest who is a Bernie 2016 TV alum and now a Rhode Island State Senator, Jeanine Calkin. Thank you very much for doing this, and congratulations on your awesome win.
Thank you.
That is just so amazing. To have met you at BTV and then watch you first of all, the leadership that you showed there was just super inspiring to me because, as a female, seeing another female leader and seeing how you do things, and you were able to teach me too, and teach other people. So you are state senator of District 30, right?
Right.
You kind of had to leave BTV to go and be the headquarters of Rhode Island for Bernie, right?
Yeah, we started doing a lot of groundwork, and then especially even more when the campaign officially came here.
Can you tell us about how that all went about, basically from there to now? What happened?
So basically, we had been growing a pretty diverse and large group of people all across the state, and who were all so enthusiastic to get involved in the Bernie Sanders campaign. So it was getting close to our primary, and people were ready and raring to go. And so the campaign hadn't come here yet because we were one of those primaries that I believe there were 5 states on the same day. So obviously Rhode Island is a small state, so they were concentrating on some of the other states. I think Pennsylvania was one of them. So we had a lot of people who were, raring to go. So we started doing a little bit more of our ongoing activities like phone banking and doing visibility events like, honking waves, those type of things.
I know. I saw you on that video on the highway. That was really awesome. Holding the Bernie signs.
Yeah, we did a nighttime light brigade, if you will, over a bridge that goes over the main highway in Providence. And so it got to the point where we had one of our main volunteers had already traveled to 7 or 8 states at that point and had already gone through their primaries. So when she came back, we pretty much were getting to the point where we knew what the process was. And so we were starting that already. Then finally the official campaign came in, and we used our location as the first official staging location in the state, and we're having canvassers coming out of there and doing phone banking and so forth.
Awesome.
Then after that, other sites across the state were set up. Sure. But yeah, that was an amazing time. I'll never forget it. And did very well. Bernie did very well. He won the state, and I think he was the only one of the 5 states that he won that night, and it was a surprise. So, and I believe he won by 12 points, and in the area where I am, he won by 19 points, which was huge.
So awesome. That must feel so great to know that basically you kind of made that happen. So you and your community
made it happen.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that you just kind of led that is really, really cool to see. And so how did you decide, and when did you decide to run, and what made you decide to run?
Well, I had been obviously working with a lot of people here in the state, and some people had asked if I was ever considering to run for office, and I was like, no, that's not something I do. And I think it was Bernie's speech in California, where at the end of it, he was talking about this has to be up to you, all of us. And he, asked us to run, and I said, well, I'd kind of be a hypocrite if I've been, preaching this message all along and telling other people to get involved and to run, and then I don't try to do it myself. So that was kind of, when Bernie said it, that was kind of what pushed me over the edge to run.
That's so awesome. And I know that you studied electrical engineering. You got a Master of Science of Information Systems. You were a former programmer at several major tech firms. So your resume and qualifications for leadership and understanding of how technology works and how government works, it's pretty high up there, setting a high bar. So do you know the other senators? Have you met everybody? And like, how will you work together? What are some of the goals that you guys are setting?
So yes, our session started the first Tuesday in January, and so I think we are on the third week now, and we just finished the third week, and it's going really well. I'm meeting all the different senators, and there's 38 of us. We're on a small state, so we have 38 senators, but getting to know everyone and getting to know what their key issues are.
Mm-hmm.
And some bills are ready to introduce in the next coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going really good. And, I'm learning a lot from the other senators because they've, been through this. There's actually 4 new senators this
Mm-hmm.
year. So
cool.
Yeah, it's been really fun and really interesting and a lot to learn.
So speaking on a lot to learn, how does the technology aspect of things change everything this year, like with Trump and tweets and independent media and fake news, and how is all of that and your knowledge of technology kind of all roads meeting at once here, right? How do you coordinate all that?
Well, technology is very important when you're running a campaign because you need to have a way to share information or to even just do online meetings. Something like this is a great way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But also having people and yourself be proficient in social media, whether it be, some of the main Facebook, Twitter, whatever. But also if you, in the past, like even just going back a year, a lot of people would go to YouTube to see videos. So it's a great way to get your message out there. If you have a specific issue, you can make a video and then just put it out there for people to see and share.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook now has their Facebook Live,
yep.
Which is a wonderful way to keep in touch with people. Twitter, same thing. They have their own video sharing. And, technology is very important. And it's very freeing because if you have a specific message and you think it's really important, you have your own ability to share it and get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before you may have relied on whether or not a local television channel picked it up or a local newspaper. Now you can create your own news and
mm-hmm.
get it out there and make it shareable.
That's awesome. And 2 things about that. One is the fact that is there any danger of that being taken away? And the fact is Trump is using that methodology. People are saying, well, he's tweeting so much, and he's saying, well, this is a direct communication that I have with my, however many million people following him. And it is true. He has an uncensored, unbiased, direct contact. And we all do. You guys as legislators, you all do, which is, cool. It's awesome because we want to hear what you guys are directly saying. We don't want the filter of the news because the narrative of the news is often really different than what you guys even want to put out there. So that in itself.
And like you were saying.
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like you were saying before with the fake news, that's a whole different story. But even like you were saying with, a local paper or something like that, if they tend to be more conservative and you're more liberal, you have to think about how their perspective is going to be on it versus what your core or true message is that you're getting out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at Trump, that's a whole other story.
Right.
You want to be able to get your message out there, but you don't necessarily need to tweet, at 6:30 in the morning, whatever pops into your brain either.
Right, right. There could be a better way he's using it.
Yeah. But, the people that like him appreciate that. So there is, from their perspective, something to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like you said, they are getting it directly from him.
Yeah. What do you think of, like, censorship and net neutrality and the possibility of, journalists being, harassed or silenced or anything like that under a really conservative administration who doesn't like people speaking out against them, and news media who doesn't really like their narrative challenged.
That's a really important issue. One of the things that was very scary recently was what was happening in North Dakota with the Standing Rock, and the fact that they were putting journalists in jail was very scary to me. And whether or not it gets worse under the new administration, we'll have to see. But that's something that people should really be concerned about and pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And especially with the internet, because right now the internet is pretty open. If the laws surrounding what gets allowed on the internet change, then that's something to be really concerned about, because you don't want to have that censorship or that filtering being placed in front of you. Mm-hmm. And hindering your access to information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's not like it's impossible. People are saying, oh, that could never happen. Just look at other countries that you can't see videos in, that you can't get on certain sites on. It's not
right.
When Trump said the thing about like closing up part of the internet, and I was even like, you can't close part of the internet. But the truth is, look at North Korea. You can close off communication of an entire population of people to the world if you have the power to do it. So, and our government is pretty powerful. So like you said, it's pretty scary. Yeah. Unless they really
It wasn't that long ago they tried to do SOPA. I don't know if you remember that, but that would have blended the internet in some pretty nasty ways. So, it's something that we have to continues to be as open as it is now.
Mm-hmm. I hope so too. Okay, let me just jump to another quick thing that I want to get your perspective on, is the Russian hacking narrative and the lesson that establishment Democrats still apparently haven't learned from this entire thing. They are still, as of now, bitching about the hacking rather than what we found out. And okay, if there was a Russian hacker that, this email was hacked to influence or happened to influence, it's the truth that influenced it, if it did any influence. So how about them addressing what's been exposed in the emails? How about an apology from the establishment saying, yeah, we screwed Bernie. We're very sorry. I have not heard a word of acknowledgement, or I have not heard a single word of apology, or anything like that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the things that people get confused about, especially if they're not in IT, is the difference between hacking and leaking. So my understanding, at least if you listen to one side of it, this was emails that were leaked, which means that somebody from the inside who had access to this information leaked it to someone and gave that to someone. Mm-hmm. Whereas hacking is where, someone, whether it be in Russia or China or India, and hackers exist everywhere, even here, mm-hmm. and, where they actually break into your system, like, whether or not they send you an email and it says, click here, and then you click there, and then it tells you to log in, mm-hmm. Their system that you're logging into, and then they can capture your user ID and password, and then they hack into your system mm-hmm. to take information. So that being the case, I do believe that what people should focus on is, let's get past the election. The election is over. Trump won. We have to, figure out what we're going to do now. Mm-hmm. But when you take a look at it and look at what happened and what came out, it is really upsetting to see what came out in those emails. The fact that, there was some, I don't know if you want to say effort or coordinated effort to work against Bernie Sanders. That is unfortunate. And, whether it be leaking questions or things like that. Mm-hmm. There are some concerns there. And they should be addressed. And hopefully, with I would love to see Keith Ellison made the new head of the DNC.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if he was put in that position, that things could potentially change for the better.
That would be great.
So
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeanine. And lastly, I wanted to ask you about our co-op, the Global Engagement Network co-op, and our conference that's coming up. We're going to do a monthly conference where we're going to try to get panel guests and have a different theme each month to kind of talk about and discuss issues. And this month we've kind of named it Independent Media Month. So we want to answer a question about what does a 21st century media co-op look like. We know what worker co-ops look like because we see a lot of them, exist in the country, and there are a few media co-ops in the world too. And so we want to look at examples where the media can compete, independent media like us can compete with the mainstream media. And for that to happen, I think independent media has to kind of collaborate in a way. And that's what we kind of want to see how that can be done in a cooperative manner. What do you think of that? Do you have any advice that we should follow on that?
I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see more independent media come out. I mean, when we first started with BTV, you remember, there was we knew about Bernie, but a lot of people across the country didn't know. Yep. And we tried to cover as many of his rallies, those first initial rallies that he was doing, as possible. I like to think that maybe we had a minuscule.
I like to think that too.
At least, I mean, we did have a lot of people who would watch, the rallies and things like that back then, and even some of the shows that we did.
For sure, we were totally a source for people to watch that. Absolutely.
Right, and one of the things that I loved was the We the People show, with the interviewing some of the people who were running for offices and things like that.
That was fun to do.
So I think independent media, and especially in local areas and getting that message out there, I think is great. So maybe just sharing of information on how to do it, how to go about, broadcasting just in this type of method, best practices, what works for the techie side of it, maybe what the best kind of, cameras and microphones and things like that. But I think it's pretty awesome what you're doing. That's really cool.
Thank you so much. I know that at the beginning, you guys were thinking it would be a nonprofit or it would be a profit. Like we were all discussing, we went through so many different groups of people that had different ideas of how it should go. And we still are, just developing. We're just still a bunch of independent people just kind of networking together to do this. So it's really fun. Thank you for being a part of the beginning of it. I'm glad that, I can be part of the continuation of it. If you ever, change your mind and want to come back and hang out and with Jen and I'm just kidding. Well, thank you so much, Jeanine, for doing this interview. It was awesome to talk to you and reminisce a little bit about our BTV days. And I congratulate you. I know you posted a thing about fracking that's happening in your state. So I know that you're going to be on top of all of these issues, representing the people and representing progressive ideas and Bernie's ideas. So I'm so glad you're in there, Jeanine, and we love you.
Yeah. Thanks. They're trying to put in it's a power plant that runs off of fracked gas. But they're trying to stick it in the middle of a beautiful forest in the northwestern part of the state. And it's something that we will get stuck with for 20 to 40, more likely 40 years. And now they're trying to, because they require water to run the plant, they're trying to use water from the main drinking source of 60% of the state. So it's a big issue. But yeah, I mean, some of the things that I'm trying to take the political revolution here to Rhode Island. So I'll be introducing a $15 minimum wage bill. Trying to, I'm going to be introducing a single payer insurance bill. Excellent. And many other things, but hope to take a little bit of that inspiration from Bernie here in Rhode Island.
Very cool. Thank you so much. If you guys want to reach Jeanine, check her out on facebook.com/Jeanine Calkin RI. And what's your what's your website, Jeanine?
It's JeanineCalkin.com.
JeanineCalkin.com. Check her out,
Yep.
donate, and thank you for watching the Global Engagement Network. This is Take Issue. I'm your host, Iniko Nolan. Have a good night.